Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Sell More Book Show, episode 533. I'm Brian Cohen from Best Page Forward, joined by sweet romance author and co-founder of the Writing Gals, Michelle Pennington. Michelle, how you doing today?
It's an amazing day here in Arkansas. Sunny, bright.
Oh,
My kids
nice.
are all gone.
See, there we go. Yeah, no, I'm 2 days away from the school ending at 11:30 in the morning. Why do they even have it?
I don't
Why
know.
why do
We
they
had
even
an
have
early out day every week this year, and it was crazy.
it? Yeah. Yeah, and I'm whatever. I'll be waiting in that line for 30 minutes, typing away on something. But, I'm really excited you're here. I don't know if I ever told you this. So years ago, I did a survey, and I've done it every year since. I think this must have been 2021 or 2022. I surveyed my list, and I asked a question: who else do you follow? Like, because I wanted to meet other people and know kind of what's going on. And I see several times come up the Writing Gals, and I was like, who the heck are the Writing Gals? And I looked y'all up, and your group was so great, and all of this wonderful advice, not just romance advice, but certainly a lot of romance advice. Um, the Writing Gals has changed over time. What do you feel like the Writing Gals is right now for the author community?
So we try to make our community one that is like positive, welcoming, and safe, especially
Mm,
for new authors, but authors of any genre, category, or writing level. So we do that by having like specific rules and really monitoring the group closely. But our community members just love to help everybody else. That we don't mind if new readers ask the same questions that have been asked before. And one of the things I think is really kind of complicated, we didn't think about branding wise because we didn't mean for it to grow as fast as it did.
uh,
Um,
yep,
we didn't really expect that people were going to think it was a group for women because it's
right.
called the Writing Gals. But the Writing Gals are the founders, and everybody's welcome. And so we're seeing an increase in male writers
Mhm.
joining the group, and we love that because it's just a place for everybody, and we hope everybody comes and tries us out if they're not already over there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've really loved the community. It feels similar to how I like to run my communities. Just get letting there's no such thing as a stupid question. We're always going to support each other. Um, Y'all are doing so much. I got the wonderful opportunity to speak on the panel for the upcoming conference you guys have, and that's in October, right?
It is. It's the first like Thursday to Saturday in
Yep.
October. I think it's like the 4th through the 8th. I don't know.
Awesome.
I might get my dates wrong there, but
Right,
yeah.
no, but it's a virtual conference
Mhm.
in October. I got to speak on a panel that the early ticket holders get to check out.
It's the registration bonus. Yeah. So as soon as people register, then they get to watch the panel. And so I think there's a little bit of a gap because it hasn't gone live yet. And we started registration last week. But
Hmm.
as soon as it goes live, everybody who's registered gets to watch it all the way up to the conference start. And so it's how to sell books in a downturn economy.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
you and Inez and Lee, well, Inez Johnson and Lisa Vino were both joining you there. And it was wonderful.
We had so much fun. That was a
Yeah.
blast. That was a blast. Definitely go check that out. We're going to have the link to the Writing Gals Facebook group in the posts here. So, I mean, how do you balance? We'll get into the show here in a second. How do you balance being a sweet romance author who is publishing, who is putting out books, who's growing your following, and managing this group? Because I actually want to know the answer to this in part because I'm in the same boat here.
Well, luckily, Facebook helps us out quite a bit, where
Mm-hmm.
they allow us to set up filters to moderate certain things that we're looking for. But also, our community is really great, and they do a lot of it themselves, where they sometimes will report if people are like being really rude to each other or something
Yeah.
like that. We also have a great moderator that helps us now. Her name is Christine Bortner, and she is amazing. So there used to be four of us, and at times the writing gals have kind of changed as people began as one of our admins, and then their life necessitated them stepping back from it. So it is a lot of work, but we are really, really committed to the group itself, and so we treasure it, and it's worth the investment of time.
And it's going to be Writing Gals Month here on the Sell More Book Show, because I don't know if I told you, but Victorine is coming after you. So.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
She's always a font of wisdom.
Oh, yes, yes. So we got a lot to go over here today. So there was a question 2 weeks ago, which was what additional info would be valuable for Amazon to add to the book trends section. This is the number of sales that has been now listed on some books. And I might ask you this as well, Michelle, but Amy Martinson said it would be so much better if Amazon made it easier for readers to leave a review. Yes, you do have to go hunting for that a little bit. Logan Russell said it'd be cool to see them merge the also bought data with the review data to create an AI-generated tagline such as fans of Andy Weir gave this book 5 stars. That's really smart there, Logan. And then Roland Denzel said it would be great if they included something about comp titles, either from also bots or because reviewers mention them, like readers who like X loved Y. Absolutely. These things, especially because they've kind of done away with the also bots carousel sometimes.
Yeah.
Michelle, what would you love to be displayed on like the book sales page? What will anything come to mind?
Yeah, I mean, as long as we're throwing sales data up there,
right?
Why not the total sales history, right? Because maybe you have a book in your backlist that performed really, really well at some point, and it's not getting quite as much love anymore. So if the readers could see, oh yeah, this book has, a lot of sales history, like it sold a lot of copies overall, that would be just as helpful as like it's selling really hot right now, right?
Right, though with an opt-in, because I've definitely had some books I used to sell a long time ago that have sold like 20 copies. I don't want anybody to know. But,
that's a good point.
yeah. But great stuff. Y'all can answer the question of the week over at the Sell More Book Show After Party Facebook group. Let's go into the top story. Are you ready, Michelle?
Let's do it.
All right. Friends to Lovers to Bankrupt. I really like that title. Over the past few years, Romance Writers of America, RWA, has been embroiled in multiple scandals, which drove away many readers and now seems to have led them to declare bankruptcy. According to court filings, RWA owes an estimated $3 million to hotels, plus an additional $75,000 to additional creditors. As reported by Sophia Stewart in Publishers Weekly, RWA had signed a long-term contract with Marriott Hotels for multiple conferences. With lower membership numbers and reduced conference attendance, RWA failed to meet their minimum numbers. Quote, once upon a time, the Romance Writers of America was a major force within the publishing industry, reports Jane Friedman in the Hot Sheet newsletter, saying that the RWA once had a membership of over 9,000. After multiple controversies, membership dropped to about 2,000. Professor Christine M. Larson, author of Love in the Time of Self-Publishing, which is a great title, I should check that out, says she expected RWA to recover, but as a smaller organization. Quote, now at this point, I don't know if they can gain enough trust of writers to continue, and writers don't need the RWA the way they once did, end quote. In addition, says Larson, the RWA was once the gatekeeper to traditional publishing and an interface to big businesses like Amazon. With the rise of self-publishing, the internet and social media, and organizations like the Authors Guild, that need has been reduced too. So, Michelle, I'm not in the romance community as much as you are. When this story came out that RWA was filing for bankruptcy, which doesn't mean they're done forever. This is just a way to recover debt, and it might be a slow road, but it doesn't mean they're closed as a business. It just means they're not going to be able to pay this $3 million and $75,000 to Marriott Hotels. What was like the buzz in the romance community?
So I think it's kind of speaking that I haven't heard tons about it since the scandals were first breaking.
Mm,
When they were having, all of the things coming out that were coming out, that people were unhappy with, both like the leadership and what happened at the conference and with the competitions that they were having. There was a lot more buzz about it then. I think right now, if I'm to look at them, I think it's because they've steered towards a business platform model so hard and so long that they've lost the community aspect of it. And so when I go and look at them on Facebook, for example, they have a business page and it's got 34,000 followers. So to me, the number of followers it was talking about them having compared to how many people have followed their business page is like, there's a really big disconnect there, right? If it
yeah.
had like 2,000 people currently paying memberships and they have 34,000 followers on their business page. And then if you look at all their posts on their business page, there's very little interaction on them. And so to me, it's like, okay, so they have this audience, clearly. I mean, romance is a huge genre,
Right.
tons and tons of authors, and they have a good part of them that have followed. So I think that they just need to go back to the roots of this is about a community of authors supporting each other. So, like in the Writing Gals, that's essentially what we are, but we have a group page where the interactions are organic and it's the people in the group that are driving the discussions and not just the Writing Gals coming on and showing what we're doing or you know starting topics, that kind of thing. um and recently, just last month, I was asked to give a class at a chapter. It's in a chapter in New Mexico, so one of the
Yeah.
local RWA chapters, and they were synced up with the chapter in North Carolina. And then just yesterday, I got an email because one of those people recommended it to another chapter. And now that chapter reached out to see if I could teach to their group.
Hmm.
And they're paying for this. And they have
Right.
like a little meeting and talked about their funds and, what they had available. And um, I think the local chapters are still working to a degree, because that's where the community is. That's where the authors
Right.
are connecting with each other and supporting each other and helping each other. They had a great group there. So I think RWA needs to say, okay, what's our strength and what do authors need now more than anything? And like the article said, there's not as much need for help to get your books published or to get recognized in the industry or to get protection, because the trad thing is not as thriving as the indie world is, and there's other like Authors Guild, things like that. So I think they need to do what all authors need to do actually is flex with the market, right? Instead of
Yeah.
just keep trying to power forward the way they always have, I think they need to say, okay, maybe we go back to our roots and try this a different way. How do we bring these people back and give them what they're looking for?
Yeah, it's really interesting as, you know, general idea of romance. It's kind of like there's a lot of different sects of romance, and it's tough now to have this big general romance organization, especially one that's maybe catered more to newbies or to traditional published authors, when there's a whole bunch of self-published authors out there who,
Mm-hmm.
it's like when a big organization like Amazon comes to do a presentation and it has to be the most basic things because it's been approved by the company. It's kind of what RWA has become in a way, and needs to think about how can we connect with those readers again. So for the hot potato wisdom question I have for you, Michelle, this is going to be a slight tweak on this. So you already brought up community is kind of one of the big things they need to focus on. So to go back up from 9,000 down to 2,000 members, what community-based things do you think RWA can offer that would make it worthwhile for more people to sign up for these memberships?
I think that they need to provide a group platform
Mm,
where the participants can drive the conversation organically. And I think they might have a little bit of a branding problem too, not just because of what's associated with their name, but Romance Writers of America, and in a virtual world, it's global, right?
Yeah.
So maybe find a way to rebrand the name to include the global community, because I'll tell you, in the Writing Gals, we have people all over the world. I
Yeah.
mean, frequently, some of our most, you know, um, I want to say prolific because I'm a writer, but like commenters and posters are from, the United Kingdom and Australia and New Zealand and, Central America and Europe and Asia, like all over the place. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, maybe they need to go small community and also global. So kind of like
Yeah.
a contrast, but it would work.
No, I think that totally makes sense. Romance Writers of the World.
Exactly.
RWW. Awesome. I think you got a question for me.
Yeah. So, what are some pros and cons of genre-specific organizations?
So when it comes to like trying to figure out what you want to be a member of, it's hard because you can't get, pay dues to everybody. And you might want to go with something more general, especially when you're starting out. You can learn some of the things, but it's tough because now there's so much information out there. There's information on YouTube. There's information in the wonderful courses that Writing Gals present, that my company presents. There's a lot of information out there. And so I think RWA is doing smart things by getting you to come teach classes. They've had me teach some classes at some local chapters too. And so getting the smart people in there is going to be helpful, but that's not the perception right now. And so I would say the pro is that you could learn some things. The con is that you might be able to learn some of those things for free, so you might not even need it. And so I absolutely second Michelle here with they need to make better connections. They need to understand how to connect in a digital world, because one of the reasons they're defaulting on $3 million of contracts to hotels is because people aren't going to necessarily pony up when there are conferences in their backyard. They don't need to go to an RWA conference. They can go to something more locally now. And so you need to change with the times.
Exactly.
Awesome. All right. Michelle, I did not give you the heads up I know you've listened to the show though. We need a lightning sound for our lightning round. So if you want to present your most lightning sound, that'll kick us off here.
All right, let's try. Whatcha?
Ooh, I liked that. I really, really liked that. It sounded like it hit a tree and then the tree fell down.
Funny enough, that happened to my mom. She almost got struck by lightning one time and got saved because she stopped to move a plant on her porch.
That's amazing. I have an uncle who has been struck by lightning a couple times, but he was always wearing the rubber boots. It was because he's in like having to deal with stuff in the buildings, and it went through his rubber soles, so he was fine.
It's like the guy in the Great Outdoors.
Yeah, exactly.
He's been hit like 7 times or something.
Yeah. Not quite that many for Uncle Alan, fortunately. But so Michelle, do you belong? Obviously, Writing Gals, you belong to that. But do you belong to any writing or publishing organizations that you feel has helped you sell more copies of your romance? Oh, I might have lost you for a second here.
Yeah.
I lost you for a sec, but I'm back. We're back now. So, do you belong to any of these organizations that have helped you sell more romance?
So, can I just say no?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
For a while, I was part of NINC.
Yep.
If we're just talking about things like that you would pay a membership towards, and a few author guilds here and there, but nothing that really stuck long term. For me, I'm just so into the free communities, and so that's pretty much where you'll find me. From the very beginning, I was finding pretty much genre specific or STEAM level specific Facebook groups and joining them, and then I love conferences, but not really into the big organization thing.
Yeah. Is there a free group that you're a part of that you feel like's been really helpful beyond just the Writing Gals?
So I can't say the Writing Gals critique group either, I guess, because we have two.
So the Writing Gals has a critique group. Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, we do. We have a whole separate group just called the Writing Gals critique group. You know, I'm part of 20 Books, and everybody knows about 20 Books, and sometimes they're super, super helpful for me, and other times, it's, I don't know. I wanted to be more romance focused, I guess,
Yeah,
I think.
I get
But if
that.
you're an indie looking for a good place to go, that's definitely a good one. So I guess
Awesome.
over the years, I've become like really
Yeah.
curated.
No, and I think that's a good call on your part. All right, you got a question for me?
Yeah. So according to USA Today, Costco will start only selling books during the winter holiday season. So what does Costco's decision to stop selling books year round tell you about the state of the book business?
So I think that with Costco only selling books at a certain time of year, they looked at the numbers. They looked at the numbers and found, hey, we're carrying all this shelf space of books, and we only really sell it in this 2-month period. We sell, it's the old Pareto principle, 80% of the results come from 20% of the effort. They found that only 20% of the year they were selling 80% of the books. So they said, well, the heck with this. Let's just sell it in the winter holiday season. And I think that it is showing that, look, books are a business. We love this stuff, but books are a business. And we cannot necessarily count on big corporations to sell the things because we are items, line items on an accounting sheet to some of these big companies. And we can't just assume that they are going to bail us out. We're going to have to do the work ourselves.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So, kind of along. What was that?
I don't even have a Costco where I live.
I know. I don't know where the nearest Costco is to me. So, Michelle, where, aside from a bookstore or a library, where would you like to see your books stocked? Where would you want to see the physical copies?
Okay, well, I have to say Walmart. I am from Walmart country here in Northwest Arkansas.
Yep.
And so everything moves around Walmart here. They're not a bookstore, but they have a book section. And if you can get in that book section, it means you're doing really well. And along the same lines, the airport.
Yes.
So there's a rom-com author named Sarah Adams who started indie, did really, really well. The next thing I know, I'm walking through the airport and I see her cover in the book sections. And I was like, wow, okay, so new level unlocked for her. And
right.
So
That's
there you
amazing.
go. Because they have so few SKUs in an airport bookstore or convenience store. And so if they give you one of their precious spots, then that's something.
Yeah, that, once again, line items on an accounting spreadsheet that Sarah Adams must have gotten to quite a level to be one of those line items.
Yep, exactly.
That's amazing. All right, I'm ready.
Okay. How do you keep your writing as an art as it starts to become your business?
This is one of the biggest fears that authors have, keeping writing an art as it becomes a business. And I think, it all comes from the love. You have to love this stuff so much. You have to love it and know that even if dollars and cents come into play, like, you have a greater aim. You want to tell these stories. Claire Taylor goes into this so well with some of her Enneagram stuff, talking about the themes that you want to share in your books, kind of needing to connect up with you. If you just are like, writing to market and get these tropes in and, there's no meaning to it for you, it will feel like the art is petering out. But you can always infuse part of yourself, part of your spirit, part of the who you are into your books. And if you continue to do that with the things that you sell, it'll still feel like an art.
Yeah, and that's the best way to make it connect with your readers. If it's not
Yes.
something you're joyful when you're writing, then your readers aren't going to connect with it as much. They're not going to respond to you as an author and become your super fan. And that's what we're all trying to develop, is these super fans that are going to follow us from book to book to book. And so sometimes I call it like candy bar writing or like Cheetos writing,
Yep.
where if you're just producing like good enough quality because your heart's not really in it, there's no special spark in it, then yeah, you might get a lot of people reading it, but are you going to level up to being like, this is my go-to, if someone asked what I was going to take to an island to be stranded on, this is what I would take. So, and that only comes from joy. You can put as much trope in there and as many tropes and right to market and all the things. But if there's no spark and magic happening in your own heart when you write it, then it's going to be a little lifeless.
Great points. Great points. I'm thinking of like candy bar versus the creme brulee that has
Exactly.
had the flames on top. It's got everything going. It's a masterpiece, but it's still
Going in,
sweet. It's still
yeah, going
sweet.
into like the craftsman chocolate stores and paying $5 for a truffle, but that truffle, oh,
Mm-hmm. Oh
hmm
yeah. Oh yeah. So last question of the lightning round, Michelle. If you had to start writing romance from scratch here in 2024, as many folks going finding the writing gals for the first time might be doing, how do you think you'd try to reach readers?
So when I started back in 2011, it was all about the blogs. Like
Mm-hmm.
you had to connect with the reading blogs and get them to review your book and like all this sort of stuff. And so I was constantly sending emails. And today we don't have to depend on other people.
Yeah.
We don't, in a way the blogs were like the gatekeepers of the indie community. So now
Mm-hmm.
it's, where can you reach your reader and then create the newsletter funnel to collect them all, or like the direct sales storefront. And I'm not going to recommend specific social media sites, but like you got to get out there if you're going to be successful nowadays. There are a few like one-off people who manage to like be super successful in obscurity, but for a new author, like you need to get out there and present yourself, have a presence, and you know attract the honeybees to your honey.
Yes, or
Or
to
to
your
your
truffle.
nectar. Yeah,
I love it. I love it. No, great advice. I absolutely agree. So we need a question of the week. We are gonna need to come up with this here on the fly. Um, this could be related to the RWA stuff, like what organizations are you a part of? It could relate to any of these things, like if you had to start from scratch, what would you do? Michelle, you're the guest. You get to kind of choose the direction here. What would you like to ask our listeners today?
okay, so I'm all about the craft of writing. And
Okay.
so, as we're talking about communities and all these places, what is the best way for writers to improve their craft? So, is it like conferences? Is it courses? Is it, where are you going to go for personal development as a writer?
Okay, I like this. What do you think is the best way for writers to improve their craft? And that is a great question of the week. You can answer the question of the week over at the Sell More Book Show After Party or the Sell More Book Show website at sellmorebookshow.com. So, Michelle, where can people find the Writing Gals and you if they want to go check out more of the stuff you're putting out into the world?
So the Writing Gals, we have a website if you are not in our Facebook group or not really on Facebook. So you can just go to thewritinggals.com and you'll be able to find everything about our cruise, our academy, our conference, all that stuff on our website. But if you want a community, the Writing Gals Facebook group is great too. And you can just find me. I have like one pen name I might really get going, but right now I'm just Michelle Pennington all over Amazon, and my website's michelle-pennington.com because there's a realtor that owns michelle-pennington.com somewhere out in the world.
Son of a gun. It happens to the best of us.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Michelle. I'm so glad you were able to come here and share your wisdom today.
Thanks for having me. It's been so much fun.
course, yeah. All right, well, Michelle will be back next week, so we'll talk more about romance. Get excited. This has been fun. Always appreciate everybody listening to the show. If you haven't posted a review ever, feel free to go over to Apple Podcasts and go post one. Thank you so much for listening or watching. Hope you have a great week of book selling, everybody. And we'll be back next week for episode 534. Bye.
Bye.